Hi, welcome to 90% Knitting. This is episode 163, and I'm Lisa, your host, also known as Fiber Nymph on Ravelry, Replurk, and Instagram. Today's Sunday, not March, May 24th. I have to leave in about an hour, so I've got just about an hour to get this podcast recorded anyway, and then I'll have to process it a little bit later today. Anyway, I wanted to get it in today because looking forward into my week, it's going to be a really busy week and I'm not exactly sure when I would get it done. Plus, I'm doing a shop update on Wednesday. It's weird. I know I don't usually do midweek updates, but there will be one Wednesday evening. And so I wanted to podcast today so I could tell you about it, even though all of the yarn for it, most of the yarn for it has already been dyed. It hasn't been reskeined, so I don't really have anything to show you, but I'm going to tell you because there are no new colorways going up in this week's update. They're all ones you've seen before, so I wanted to at least let you know what they will be. It's just a weird scheduling thing this time. It's how it's going to have to work out, but more about that at the end of the podcast. So let me say hello to some people. We have Missy from Pennsylvania. She's actually from Pittsburgh, so hi, Missy. It's always fun to connect with somebody who's close by. And then, I'm sorry if I say your name wrong, Yoon Jae, who is from South Korea. They both introduced themselves on the 90% Knitting board in the welcome thread, so thank you. Thank you for watching. And if you're new to the podcast, thank you for watching too. And if you've not introduced yourselves on the 90% Knitting board, feel free to do that. Otherwise, you're welcome to lurk. I do that on a lot of my podcasts. Not because I don't like to comment or say something. It's just I usually don't have time, and I'm watching on my tablet while I'm doing other stuff, so it's not like I can stop right then and there and go to the welcome thread and things like that. I'm sure it's like that with a lot of people. So anyway. Yes, I'm drinking out of my Monday mug on Sunday. The world is a crazy place. Let's just say that. I was sitting my mug down and I accidentally hit the button on my mouse and it stopped recording. So I'm just going to splice that together. I'm not starting over at this point. Alrighty. I have actually got a lot to show you. Oh, first of all, again, with last podcast, show notes were lacking. I am sorry. Life has been nutso the last couple of weeks, ever since I recorded last time, because I was going to Charlotte to pick up my daughter, which I'll talk more about that later. But it was just a really, really busy time, and I thought I would get everything up. I did end up posting a link to one thing because somebody had asked about it, the mini swap group that's on Facebook. So there is a link to that. If there's anything else that you had questions about from last podcast, please feel free to ask, and I will be glad to put the information up. I really always have good intentions of getting full show notes up for you guys. Unfortunately, my intentions don't always follow through just because of life. I hope you understand. But I'm always willing to give you whatever information you need to ask about a thread or whatever. Okay, or about a podcast. Something I've talked about on the podcast, or anything in general. You know, I know a lot of podcasters have questions threads like Ask Fibertown. I think Emily has one called Ask Fibertown, Ask Away, Ask a Dyer. I mean, I know there's different podcasters. I don't have a thread like that, but if you ever have a question that you want to ask, whether it's related to the podcast or related to something about me and things I do or things I've talked about, you know, feel free to just post that in the most recent episode thread, and I will do my best to answer those questions. The other thing I wanted to point out, since I'm on YouTube now, and I know I have been for a while, it takes me a little while to catch up though. I know people leave comments for me on YouTube. I don't get to see those as readily as you might think because I don't go to my video pages on YouTube to read what's written unless I somehow get a notification. And the notification process through YouTube seems a little sporadic. Sometimes I get notifications that somebody's left a comment on YouTube. Other times I don't. So if you ask a question through a comment on YouTube and you don't hear back from me, it's not because I'm ignoring you. It's because I probably have not seen it. And even once I have seen it, I'm not entirely sure of the replying process through YouTube. So honestly, the very best place to ask me questions is in the episode thread on Ravelry. And again, I'm sorry if that's not overly convenient. I love to answer people's questions, but I just don't always get to see them when they get posted. I'm saying this, it spurred my memory because I feel like there were a couple of people who asked me questions in the most recent podcast on YouTube, and I never got to answer them because, like I said, I was traveling and it was not easy for me to even get on my computer at that point. So I will try to remember to address those questions later in the podcast. You know what? I'm going to actually make a point of, oh, for heaven's sakes. I'm just trying to add a note in the show notes so I remember to do that later. All right. Let's talk about knitting, because despite the fact that I was traveling and I've been really busy dyeing, I've gotten a ton of knitting done. I'm super proud of myself. This doesn't always happen. But I'm thrilled with everything I've finished, and I can't wait to show you. And I'm going to start with one of my most favorite things that I have knit in a really long time. I love this project. I finished my canopy shawl. And I feel like I've already shown this to you because I know I posted like a bazillion pictures of this shawl and some other shawls because I went on a blocking palooza when I finished this. I posted a lot of that on Instagram. So I feel like I've already shown you, but I haven't shown you on the podcast. So here is my finished canopy shawl. This is by Melody of the Mandarins podcast. This is a beautiful, beautiful pattern. I highly recommend this. Both for the, it's not so simple that it's boring, but it's not so difficult that a newer lace or shawl knitter couldn't attack this and do well with it. Okay, it kept my interest the whole way through. I'm almost positive that I made no mistakes in any of the lace, which is weird for me. I usually screw lace up somehow really evident, like visually evident. And as I was blocking this, and it's usually when I'm blocking that I find them, when it's way too late to do anything about them, I didn't find any mistakes. And I am so happy with this. It turned out wonderfully. I love the edging. I am so happy I used the blue yarn. This was all I had left of the main body, so I didn't have a choice. But it worked out great. I am just thrilled to pieces with it. Blocking this out, you would think blocking something out that has a whole bunch of little points, so you're just sticking in a pin in each of those points would be easy. No, because I sit and fiddle with them because I want them perfect. I hate blocking. Well, I have a love-hate relationship with blocking. I love the finished product once something is blocked, but getting there is painful for me because I'm a perfectionist with it. It makes me crazy. But anyway, I'm thrilled with how it turned out. I can see myself, I don't know when I'll wear it. I mean, it's a beautiful shawl. It's not something I'm going to just curl up in at night and go to sleep in, It's not that kind of a shawl. But I can definitely see myself wearing this, like going out for an evening and wanting something to throw over my shoulders in a restaurant. I didn't write down what size it turned out. I'll tell you what, all the shawls I blocked turned out to be pretty decent sizes. This one ended up being... did I not write it down? Oh, come on. I know I did. Huh. I'm going to have to remeasure it because now I don't have it here. I could have sworn that I wrote down... Oh, well, I didn't. It turned out pretty big. It really did. I want to say it's almost... Oh, gosh. I don't know. I'll have to add it up again. But it's a very nice size, and I can definitely wrap it around myself comfortably and have the wings cover me in the front, which is usually how I wear this kind of nice light floaty shawl. And again, this was something that I made out of it's a yarn base that I no longer carry because my supplier no longer carries it. It was my Serenity base, and it was I'm trying to look and see if I can find the, oh, I erased that from my notes. Anyway, it was an 80/20 superwash merino bamboo blend, and I love that amount of bamboo in yarn because it's soft, it's airy, it adds a nice, very subtle sheen without being super shiny. And the bamboo takes up the dye, does not take up the dye the way the wool does, so you get this, it's a gorgeous look. I have ordered new yarn with that same bamboo content. I haven't dyed any of it yet. I'm hoping to get some into the shop update, but we'll see. Anyway, so this was my first finished object. Yes, I have, I have more than one. Excuse me. But let me show you the other shawls I blocked. I decided I'd make use of Emma's bedroom before she got home from school because I was blocking both on her bed and on her floor with my blocking mats. So I just did all the shawls that were waiting. This is my Another Door Opens shawl that I did earlier this year. I knit this out of the Three Irish Girls You Are My Sunshine yarn, and I did the edging in my Enclave of Yellows colorway. To represent the sun opening from a new door. I still love this shawl. I love the symbolism in this shawl, both the pattern name and the colors that I chose to use for it. It's a unique shape. It's not quite a half circle because of the way the increases work for that Another Door opening. But it turned out to be a really nice size. Let me see if I put that in here. I could swear I put these sizes in here because I know I measured them and I had them written on my, I have a little dry erase board on my bedroom door. I could have sworn I transferred those sizes. Okay, this one turned out to be 60 inches across the top and 32 inches deep down the, there's not really a center spine that goes the entire way down, but down the center it's 32 inches. So that was a pretty nice size, and again I can wrap myself in it, and it's light. It's definitely very drapey, very light and airy. So yeah, and I love the colors. They're pretty. So all right, so there was that one, and then lastly my Age of Brass and Steam. This one I had to block on the floor. It was gigantic. I used all my blocking mats, plus I had to put out like some other towels and stuff. Oh my gosh, where are you? Here you are. Look how big it got. I can't even, there's no way I can get this all in the same shot. So here's one half of it. Like here's the center, and then here we go. And it's still that long. I am in love with this shawl. I mean, I am in love with this shawl. I'm so glad that I was finally able to find a use for this yarn. This turned out to be the absolute perfect pattern for this yarn. I love the way it's striped. It's perfect. And it's nice. It's a DK weight. It's open enough though that it's nice and drapey, but it's going to be warm. And I cannot wait to wrap myself in this all fall and winter, and I will. This one, I'm pretty sure I do have the sizes because the Another Door Opens and this one were the first two that I blocked. So I know I have those sizes. Let's see. No, I didn't write it down. I know this one is, oh wait, I did. I wrote it in the notes. The finished measurements were 84 inches across the wingspan and 32 inches deep down the spine. So 84 inches. That's crazy. It's huge. I love it, love it, love it. Yeah, this shawl makes me so happy. So I'm happy that I got all that stuff blocked, let me tell you, because like I said, I've got a love-hate relationship with blocking, and I'm glad to have it finished. And I just messed up my hair, which was not really hard to do today because it's already kind of crazy. All right, so that's, yeah, I'm not even going to bother. That's the shawl. So that's the finished canopy shawl. Yay. Let's see. And, you know, notes about any of those other shawls. I'm not going to go into the yarn and the needle sizes and stuff. Those are all on my project pages if you want to check them out. I have a couple of other finished objects that you never even saw. The first one was started and finished in a day, and it was another ribbon lace slouch hat. If you remember, I made one last December for Heather, who is a friend of my daughter's who actually works for me a couple days a week. And I made her a silver gray one for Christmas. And she loved it. And her sister, she's got two younger sisters, her middle sister, Rebecca, emailed me or messaged me on Facebook shortly after. She's like, I really love Heather's hat and I've been looking for something like that. You know, could you make me one too? And she offered to pay me. And I'm like, I am happy to knit you this hat. It's not a problem. Just tell me what color you want. And so she picked peacock blue. And I told her, okay, I will knit it for you, I promise. I said, it's going to take a little while because I have some other things I need to finish up. So it did take me probably 2 or 3 months to actually get to it, which I felt bad about. But again, I was able to knit it up in a day. And she now has it. I did take a picture, so I'm going to insert the picture here. I love how it turned out. That's a great hat pattern. The hat pattern is by Molly Wood. It was written for cotton yarn, and so I've gone down needle sizes just to accommodate how I think it will block out. And when I block those hats, I don't stretch them. Like, I don't put a plate or anything inside them. I just soak them good, and once they're wet, I lay them out flat, and I just press kind of to open up that lace a little bit, and it seems to work just fine. So yeah, so Rebecca likes her hat too. The other thing I started and finished, but I can show you, I did this while I was away actually, was a second Rambler cowl. So this was my design that I had test knit a couple months ago and had originally hoped that I would have published by the end of March. Well, that turned out to be a pipe dream because I just didn't have time. March and April were such hugely busy dyeing months for me. I could not focus on finishing up the design too. So before I left for Charlotte last week, I printed out the pattern and I printed out all of the notes that I'd gotten from my test knitters, and I used my time while I was away to work this up, incorporating changes into the pattern that needed to be, you know, clarified and everything. So this is my second one. This one was my first one. You've seen this one. Both of them were knit out of Cozy. This is a variegated version of American Legend, and this was forest green, sorry, semi-solid. And they both took about the same amount of yarn. I think there was maybe 5 grams difference, if that. Oh boy, I just dropped that ball. The cat will find it later. Anyway, the only thing I did differently is I knit the first one on US 8s and I knit the second one on US 7s. And size-wise, it was about an inch tighter width-wise, but it's actually a tiny bit taller. So it did affect the gauge a little bit, but not a super bunch. I kind of like the way the one on the 7 worked out better than the one on the 8. Neither of these are blocked yet, and I'm not sure. I keep waffling about whether to block them or not. I mean, if I block them too much, I think it's going to stretch open the pattern too much. And I want it to be something that can, you know, you can put on and still have it come up around your neck, you know. And I'm afraid if you block it to have it snug around your neck, you're going to have to pin it or something. So I'm thinking I may just leave them as is. I'm still debating that. But anyway, I need to finish. I mean, I have all of the notes incorporated into the pattern by hand, like that I did. So I need to get the final version typed up, and I need to get the pretty pictures of the cowl. I have not had a chance to do that yet. Once I get that, the cowl pattern will be ready to be published, and hopefully that will be by the next time I podcast. So you can be looking for that. I realize June or whatever month it'll be by then, probably June, is not usually when you're thinking about knitting worsted weight cowls, unless you're knitting gifts ahead of time for the holidays or whatever. But I'm doing the best I can, managing my time. So that is finished. Yay, I love it when I finish something. Like it's not just a finished object, but it's a finished design as well. So, okay, so I also have some half objects. I told you, I'm like on fire with the knitting lately. My Cookie Monster sock, I have the first one finished. I think I was on, I don't remember if I was on the toe decreases or I was approaching the toe decreases the last time I showed this to you, but I did finish it. Thrilled with how it turned out. This is just a 2x1 rib sock. The yarn is another Crafty Girl Strong sock in her Cookie Monster colorway. I did an afterthought heel and US 1.5s. It's my typical fingering weight sock needle. So, yep, first one's finished. The second one is cast on. I was doing that while I was away too. I don't know what was, I had to cast it on like 3 times to get it right. I don't know what I was doing wrong. But I've got like less than an inch of the cuff, so I'm not even going to bother to show it to you. But it is on the needles. So that's one hoe. Then I have another design project, which you haven't seen in a while. This is I'm tentatively calling it Whimsies, is the name of the pattern. And this is the second sock that I've knit in the design process. The first one was self-striping. If you remember, I made the first one out of my 6 More Weeks colorway. This is the Traveler base, so it's a sport weight sock. And this was the February club colorway for the 6 Stripe Sock Club. So I had knit the whole first one out of this already, and then I wanted to do the second one in a semi-solid. But I wasn't completely happy with the design. I wasn't happy with how I did the heel flap. I thought it looked bulky and cumbersome. I was going for a heel flap that would integrate into the design of the sock, not just be a standard slip stitch heel flap or anything like that. I mean, you can substitute whatever kind of heel in you want, but anyway, so then when I started doing the semi-solid version, I decided to jazz it up a little bit and it's got cables. So this is basically a 4x4 rib with cables in the stockinette sections and seed stitch in the other sections. And the cables alternate. So I do have most of this written up to a point where I want to start sending it out to test knitters soon. I have a few people who have already offered to test knit. If anybody else is interested, PM me on Ravelry and I will let you know if I still need anybody. This will require a skein of sport weight yarn, just so you know. What else can I tell you? Oh, I like how I ended up finally doing the heel. I basically carried the patterning down into the heel flap, omitting the cable twists. So I'm really pleased with how that turned out. So since I did that, then I decided, well, I don't necessarily like how I did the first heel, which I knew I wasn't happy with it. So I ended up going back and I ripped this one out as far as where I started the heel flap. So I'm going to re-knit this sock and do it the same way I did with the magenta one and then finish it up. This one I'm going to leave without the cable twists, obviously, and the pattern is going to include instructions for both versions. So it'll be Whimsies and Whimsy Light, I guess, what would it amount to. But I'm really happy with how they're turning out, and I love the colors. I love how the semi-solid really showed off all of the detail. So I'm excited about that. I keep knocking things off my screen. My screen is covered in Post-it notes around the edge. So that's what I keep doing. Anyway, these are being knit on US 2.5s probably. I don't have it written down. It's probably on my project page. I usually do sport weight socks on US 2.5s though, just to get a nice dense, yes, US 2.5, 3mm needles. So, yeah, and I actually need to change my in progress because it is no longer 50% done. It is 25% finished. So, okay. So that's some design work going on. I'm very excited about that. I love it when I can make time for design work because, see, that's the thing. you know, dyeing is my primary work. Like during the day, I'm dyeing. And so design work flows over into my free time when I'm just knitting. And so I have to make time for that in my free knitting time to get that done. So anyway, it doesn't always happen in the time frame that I would like it to. Alrighty, where are we? Oh, I started another item, which I think I did talk about last week, though I don't think I had it on the needles. It is the Verdure pattern by Fluffy Fibers, which is Isabelle. Let me find a picture. Here's a picture of it. Really, really pretty, delicate pattern. I guess it's not going to focus any better than that. Hello? Come on. There we go. It's another shawl with an applied edging. I'm totally into the applied edging things these days. And so the first part is all stockinette, though. And that's where I'm at right now. I decided on using some of my bedazzled base because I don't have any full-sized bedazzled items that I can put on my my table at shows, and people often ask me what it looks like knit up, and I just have little things. So I'm using bedazzled in my Thorin colorway. I wanted to use something green, and while this isn't like a bright springy green, I really like all the different colors in it because it's got the greens and the browns and the little pops of gold in it, and then it's got the silver sparkle. So here's what I have so far, and I'm knitting this on US, what size? What size is this? 5s. I think the pattern called for 6, but I used 6s for one of those other shawls, and I thought it turned out just a little drapier than it needed to be, and I didn't want that to happen with this. And this is pretty open anyway, even on 5s. So let's see if I can get this opened up a little bit without having it fall off the needles. The last I counted, I was somewhere around 140 some stitches, I believe. It's just stockinette. What's really interesting about it at this point, though, is the edging, because you're actually increasing 2 stitches on each end, on each right side row, and then on the wrong side rows you're increasing 1 stitch. So for each round, or for every 2 rows you're increasing 6 stitches, and it's creating this the way she has you doing it is creating this really it's a more interesting edge than I've ever had on a shawl before. And I don't know how well you can see. Do you see how open that will be once it's blocked? I mean, you can really see it on that picture that I just showed you. But I love the process. It's actually, that's keeping it exciting enough to not be getting bored with the stockinette, is just how you're doing those edge increases. And the cast on was also really very interesting. It was another shawl cast on. I used a similar one for the canopy shawl, but this is another one where you're using like Judy's Magic cast on. But the process by which she had you doing this so that you're creating those bigger open holes, it was different than anything I've ever done. And it was one of those things that I was reading it and I just thought, you know what, I have to just trust the pattern and not think about it too much. And it worked out fine. And I really like that way of casting on. It's basically a garter tab, but it's done in a way that integrates into the shawl much nicer than your average garter tab. Yeah, and it worked out great. So I'm really enjoying this right now, even though I'm in kind of the sloggy, just the stockinette part. But for me, I'm considering the stockinette part the part that's going to earn me the fun of doing that applied edge, because it's a beautiful leaf motif and I cannot wait to get to that. So, and I don't think it'll take me that long either once I really get to work on it a lot. I mean, I did knit on this pretty much the whole, well, not the whole way home from Charlotte. Emma drove a good bit of the way, so while she was driving, I was working on this. It was good car knitting. Okay, I think that's everything that I have knit, and that was a lot. What else? Spinning. I did go back to the loop bump that I started a long time ago. It was on my Traveler. I'm spinning it on my bulky flyer. And you know what? I think I may have mentioned in a past podcast that I have a love-hate relationship with that bulky flyer because I have a hard time treadling evenly with it. And now that I'm back to doing this, I'm not having that problem at all. And it dawned on me today that I'm wondering, whenever I was plying the last yarn that I was plying on it, I am actually wondering if the drive band was not somehow caught underneath. There's an extra little tensioning wheel that is on the very front at the bottom. I wonder if maybe my drive band was caught on that, and that was what was making it so hard to tread. I had that happen to me one other time, and I figured out that that was the problem. It never even occurred to me to look at it to see if that was the problem. So I don't know. Maybe that could have been it, because it's working fine now and I'm having no problem at all treadling. I did not bring it in to show you just because actually right now there's not a lot to see. It's like over 3/4 of the bobbin is kind of all one color, and then you can see some blue on the other edge. But I did take a picture, so I'll put that in here. I'd say I'm at least halfway through the bullseye bump, and it was called Dewdrop, and it contains Merino, Corriedale Bamboo, and Tessa Silk. What I'm finding is some of the, and I've noticed this before with her bumps, I think some of the color segments have certain fibers in them, whereas others maybe don't have all of the same fibers in them, so they draft much more differently. I just got through a section that I think was a lot of Corriedale because it was grippy and not fun to spin. Now I'm in a section that's like just like butter, so it's either got a lot of silk or bamboo or something in it. I don't know. But anyway, that's a 4.9 ounce bump, and then my plan is to spin that whole one, and then I'm going to spin this one. Isn't this pretty? I don't know if you can see all the colors. Oh, it's gorgeous. It's called Swimming Hole, and it's a 4.5 ounce bump, and it has Merino, Bamboo, and Tessa Silk. So the only thing different in this one, there's no Corriedale. So my plan is to spin those two independently and then ply them together, because the other one is lighter blues going into a lot of like bluish gray, and then taupe, that's where I'm at now, and then into almost just white. It's almost like a silvery white. So this one also starts from dark, because it started out with a dark blue. This is dark. This is kind of, I'm going to say this is maybe black in the middle. So it goes from black to dark blue to a lighter sea blue into this brighter peacocky kind of blue, and then out to this light blue on the outside. So my plan is to spin these and then ply them together, light to dark on both ones. I'm curious. One of my plans, the reason I planned to do this is just because I've got so many of these bullseye bumps, and I get tired of Navajo plying them. Plus, I figure this way, this will give me way more yardage if I put two of them together. So we'll see how that turns out. I'm optimistic. Whatever. But that's going to take me a while, I think, to finish that up. But at least I'm back at it. Let's see. The CAL, the June, July, August, September CAL, the alphabet CAL. Let's talk about that a little bit. I finally got all of the guidelines written up. I simplified them as much as I possibly could, and they are in the first post in the alphabet thread on the 90% knitting board on Ravelry. Now, that being said, this is a more detailed knit along, crochet along than I have ever done before as far as how I'm running it. I may be crazy. By the end of this, I may just want to scream and pull all my hair out. I don't know. But I've done it so that you, if you are participating, you're going to be responsible for a lot of keeping track of your points. Matter of fact, you're keeping track of your points, period. I'm not keeping track. At the end, when I go to pull winners, I will be verifying that the winners actually have all of the correct information and that it's verifiable through their project pages. But up until that point, you are totally in control of making sure that you're posting the information that needs to be posted for your projects. I'm not going to go over absolutely everything because I've given you the general guidelines, like the 4 months, what the alphabet breakdown is. That's all in that thread. So please go back to that first post in that thread. Read through everything, please. Please read through everything. I know it's a lot, but it's really not that difficult. I needed to get it written out. Basically how this is going to work as far as posting your projects. Come June 1st, I will open the June thread, which will be a finished object, no chatter thread. As soon as you have a finished object that qualifies, and remember, the one qualifying thing has to be that the pattern name that you're using has to fall within the letter range for that month. And we're going by the pattern name as it is written on the pattern page in Ravelry. Okay. Once you have a finished project, you will start a post. And you will post the picture of your finished object with the required information, which this is all going to be in this is all in the thread. And there will be an example as well. Each month I will put an example post in the first post so that you can refer to that and you'll know what you need to put in. You're going to put your picture and then you're going to put the pattern name, which automatically will give you 1 point as long as it's within the range. You will then put the yarn company name if that is applicable. If it's not a yarn company that has a letter that begins in that month's thing, then range, then you don't have to put that. But if it does, you need to put that and you'll earn another point. And then the colorway of the yarn. If it is as it is written on the ball band and the yarn company as it is written in its Ravelry page, you know, if it's one of those letters of the alphabet, then put it in there and it qualifies. Once you have all of the required information, I can't remember, I think I also asked for start date and bind off date, just so that I know that it's within that range, the appropriate month range, because these have to be started on or after the first of the month, finished on or before the last of the month. At the very end, after you have all that required information and you tally up your points for that project, the very last line in your post is going to say total points, and then you'll put your total point number. Now, if you do more than one project in, let's say, June, you're not going to start a new post. No, 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 no. You're going to go back to your original post and you're going to click edit. And below your first project, you're going to add the picture for your second project and all of that pertinent information again for that second project. And then at the very bottom, that total points line, that will remain at the very bottom of your post. So anytime I go to that thread, I should be able to look at everybody's posts and just look at the very last line and see what their cumulative total points are for the month at that point. Does that make sense? I hope so. It's not difficult, and I know I've done other knit-alongs that do things very similarly to that. So this might not be completely foreign, but it's up to you to make sure that you are keeping track of everything in that same post for the entire month. And then once a new month starts, it'll start all over. Let's see, what else did I want to talk about? Oh, how I'm going to do the drawings. And this is where I really become crazy. Once everything is done and the month closes, I will lock the thread and then I will manually go in and I will see each person, like if I was participating, which obviously I'm not, but if I was participating for points and I had a total earned 9 points, okay, for however many projects I did, and I had 9 points, I would add, I'm going to start a database file, and I would enter my name, Fiber Nymph, 9 times, okay? You got with me so far? And then let's say the next person, let's say it's Anansi, Meltrion Designs, because I know she's going to participate. Let's say Anansi earns 10 points in June. I would type Anansi into my database, and then it's not a database, a spreadsheet. That's what I'm talking about. Put her name in on 10 separate lines. Okay. So however many points you earn, that's how many times your name is going to be on that spreadsheet. Once I have them on there, I am going to print the spreadsheet out. I am physically going to cut all those names out so they're individual little pieces of paper. And then they will be put in a big bowl or a big hat or something concave that I can put them in there, and I will draw the winners from that. I will try to have someone else actually physically draw the winners rather than me. This part is going to all be done off air so that I can draw the winners and I can verify that the winners actually... See, that's the hard part. Because if your name's in there like 7 times or something, and you have one project or something that doesn't completely meet, well then what's to say that your name... I don't know. I still have to work that part out. Because I want this to be fair, and I don't want to disqualify people unfairly, but I cannot physically go in and verify each and every person's project for all 4 months. It nearly killed me to do that with the head to toe cow last year. And it wasn't nearly as complex as this is. So, I don't know. I'm going to have to think about that. I may try to verify as we go through the month. I may have to think about that. I may have to see if I can get people to help me verify. Be deputies for me. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, that's the plan. I'm planning to manually draw names. If someone knows of an app or a program online that would let me basically do the same thing, please let me know. Because if I can automate this, that would be awesome. I want to make sure I'm doing it this way only because since you're using one post for everything and all of your points are going to be clumped together, I don't want all of your points to be on a spreadsheet, you know, say number 12 through 23 are all of your points, and then do a random number generator. And if it decides to choose from some other end of the number line, you're out of luck. You know what I mean? I want it to be more varied than that so that everybody has a good choice or a good chance to win. So, still working out those bugs, but I'm going to do it as fairly as I possibly can. I've answered a ton of questions in the Knit Along thread, and I will continue to do so. So if you have questions about the guidelines or anything, please ask there. I will answer there, or PM me if you want. That's fine too. If you want to offer up prizes for a particular letter range, please PM me. I've had people PMing me already about that. And so far, I can tell you for June, we have 2 definite prizes. One will be from me. It is going to be this skein of Bedazzled in my Dragonfly variegated colorway. It's a very summery, happy color. So that's going to be one prize. Another prize I have coming to me from Nula Bula, who is an active participant on my podcast and a lot of others as well. She has her own yarn shop called Dharma Dye Works. It's on Etsy, and she has graciously offered a skein of yarn for a prize as well. So as soon as that arrives, I will show you, and you'll get to see that. Right now, those are the only 2 prizes. Depending on how many people we have entering, I will try to add more prizes. Again, if you would like to donate a prize, it can be anything knitting, stitching related, you know, knitting bags, stitch markers, patterns. Oh, Melissa, who is Meltran Designs well, she's a Nonzi on Ravelry, but her designs go under Meltran's Designs. She's offering a discount on her patterns that begin with A through F. So, let me see if I can find that post really fast, because I meant to write that down and I didn't. And I wanted to alert you to that. Melissa, where is your post? Oh, she put 4 patterns of hers that start with A through F on sale. They're 20% off now through June 5th. The patterns are As I Go Along, Cursed Cable Mitts, Cursed Cable Socks, and Diersta. Use the code ABCCAL, so ABCKAL, when you're checking out, and you'll get 20% off any of those 4 patterns. So thank you, Melissa, for doing that. I also have... where's my note? Abby Designs, and her name is Jan. I wanted to say Jill, but it's not Jill. It's Jan. Jan from Abby Designs. She has an Etsy shop. She does these really cute things called tea bags, and they're basically these little pouches that you can carry your tea bags or sweetener or whatever with you when you go places. Some of them actually will hold your mug as well, or your cup. They're really, really cute. So she has given us a code for 10% off the purchase of anything $10 or more, and it can also be used on special orders. The code is 90KNIT, which is 90KNIT. I have to verify with her the dates that is good. I'm assuming it's good through the whole month of June, but I've messaged her and asked her if she could verify that for me. And when she does, I will let you know. I will be putting information about all of these codes and discounts that I'm finding out about in the thread, or, you know, in the... I'll put them in the show notes. At least that part I'll put in the show notes. And I will also try to make sure that it is being posted in the knit-along, the main knit-along thread, so that you guys will know that. I may actually start a separate knit-along thread for discounts and coupon codes and things like that for anybody who would like to offer those. So, let's see. I think that's everything I have to tell you about the CAL. Again, if you have questions, please let me know. I'm trying to keep up with this stuff as we go along, just because I know it's more in-depth than I have ever done, but I'm trying very hard to keep it, okay, sorry, I just clicked on something. I'm trying hard to keep it easy to understand, plus having all the information out there. Okay, now answering these questions from YouTube. I'm on my YouTube page now, so I'm looking at the questions. Megan asked, does your daughter go to UNCC in Charlotte? No, she goes to Johnson and Wales. Thank you for asking, though. She just finished her freshman year. She's now officially a sophomore. Barbara asked, do you spin your yarn base or is it from a vendor? I do not spin my yarn bases. I have multiple vendors that I get my yarn bases from. And she was looking for undyed yarn to spin. And honestly, the place that I usually recommend if people are looking for undyed stuff that they're not trying to buy like in wholesale quantities is Paradise Fibers. I believe it's paradisefibers.net, but just Google Paradise Fibers. They're out in the Pacific Northwest. They're really good to deal with, and that's a great place to find stuff like that if you're just, you know, doing stuff at home and playing and getting started with things like that. And the other one doesn't have questions. It's just a comment. So anyway, all right. Okay, see, there is a reply button. Sometimes I get on here and I don't see a reply button. So I'm sorry. I'll try to be a little bit better about replying to stuff on YouTube. It's just really hard for me to get to everything all the time. So, alrighty. Let's see, 10%. I was in Charlotte last week, Wednesday through Friday. Great trip down. That's really a nice drive. It's 8 hours about, but it's beautiful because you're going just through the hills and the mountains. I know, Melissa. Yeah, they're mountains. They really are. They're East Coast mountains. She's probably laughing because that was something we laughed about, the difference between my mountains and her mountains out west. Anyway, it was a good trip down. Perfect weather. No rain at all on either day of driving. It was quite warm in Charlotte, but that was fine. And I did a lot of walking in Charlotte. The thing I did not know was going on in Charlotte was that it's apparently race week. I am not a NASCAR fan, so that is nowhere on my radar. that there would be a NASCAR race this week, or maybe it already was. I don't know. Maybe it's today. I'm not sure. But there was like major stuff going on down there because it was race week. They were closing off streets, and there were street vendors with food and race-related stuff and music and bands, and oh my goodness. It turns out that my hotel, not just my hotel, but my hotel room was right across from the NASCAR Hall of Fame. I could look out my window, and I was on the 8th floor. Look out my window, and there it was. And Thursday night? Yeah, Thursday night was when all the big festivities were really kicking off, and there was a band right there. Yes, there was a stage, an outdoor stage. So I was treated to several different bands that whole night up until probably close to midnight. The last ones being the ultimate, what was it? The ultimate Guns N' Roses and Poison Experience. And then the final one was Departure, which was a Journey tribute band. So basically, I'm trying to go to sleep, and I'm listening to all of the songs that I listened to in high school by Journey, you know. And I was getting giddy at that point because I was tired and I needed to get up early the next day to drive home. And it's just like, and it sounded like Steve Perry was right out in the hallway. Of course it wasn't Steve Perry, but I was actually Googling. I'm like, is that actually Journey? Because they really sounded good. They could have been Journey, but they weren't. And it's funny because I absolutely love live music. Like, I will go see live music events any chance I get. So any other time, I would have been totally out there in that crowd, right there enjoying all that music, but not the day before I had to get in the car and drive 8 hours. I just couldn't do it. So, irony. Anyway, the only new thing I have to show you, and this is not at all knitting related, but it is technology related, is I did not take my laptop. I've quit taking my laptop when I go places usually because it's older and it moves slow and it's cumbersome, but I always take my tablet. The thing is, I hate typing on my tablet, so I wanted to get a Bluetooth keyboard for my tablet. So I didn't have a chance to look for one before I left, so Emma and I ended up going to Target the first night that I was there, and I bought one. And it's really cool because it was the only universal keyboard they had. All the other ones were specifically for products like iPads and stuff. But anyway, it's cool. It just slips out. The cover slips off. So here you've got your tablet, and or your keyboard for your tablet. On the back, there's this little lever that you can, or switch that you can set it for either Android, Windows, or Apple products. It charges over here. On-off switch, and then this little button I think is what helps you connect to whatever your Bluetooth source is, or connect your tablet to the keyboard. I haven't completely figured that out yet. It took me a little while to get it connected, but it worked great. It was charged right out of the box, so I didn't even have to bother charging it. And according to the very limited instructions that came with it, it will stay charged for like 3 months, which that's awesome. So anyway, unlike a lot of them that are actually books, like the keyboard is one side of a book, and then you put your tablet in the other side, and then they prop open. This one is obviously not like that. You've got the keyboard, but the cover then, it's got this little thing that you push in, and it flips. I don't know if you can see it. And so you sit your keyboard, your tablet, in that little groove, and it stands it up. So basically, it would be standing up, and your keyboard would be here in front of it on your work surface, and it works fabulously. And the funny thing about this, like I said, it was the only universal one they had. It was cheaper by 20 bucks than any of the other ones that they had there. So win, right? Yes. Okay. I'm going to move on to shop news now, and I need to kind of hurry this up because I need to leave shortly. Grab everything. Okay, first of all, I posted last week before I left. I posted on Facebook, and I think I posted it in the Alphabet Cal thread. Those two places. And I'm telling you what, if you're not a member of the 90% Knitting or the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group on Facebook, please join, because I post a lot of things there in between podcasts. That's a really good place to get information. And like if I decide to do a discount code or something that I haven't had a chance to talk about on the podcast, you'll find out about it there. I try to put it on Instagram, although I did not this time, just because I couldn't get to it before I left. But I also posted about it again in the ABC or the Alphabet Knit Along thread. Right now, it was originally through today, but I've extended it through tomorrow. I'm offering a 15% discount off of anything that's in the shop. Not special orders, but anything physically in the shop. My original purpose for that was if you are doing the Alphabet Cal and you would like to get some Fiber Nymph Dye Works yarn to work with, or one of my colorways that falls within that letter range, or even, you know, maybe one that falls in another letter range that would qualify at least for the colorway for the knit along, that you could get that at a discount. This is obviously not exclusively for if you're doing the count. If you're not doing the count and you want to take advantage of the code, you're free to do that. I didn't spell that out. I just assumed people would understand that. At any rate, the code is 90KABC. The letters are all capitalized, so it's the letters 90 and then KABC. Use that code when you're checking out of the shop, and you will get 15% off your entire order placed. If you are ordering special order items, please place those on a separate order. And that will be good now through midnight Monday. I forgot about this being, well, I didn't forget about it. I wasn't thinking about it when I made the coupon code, but tomorrow's Memorial Day here in the United States, so I figured why not extend it just through the long weekend. So it's there. There's still some really good stuff in the shop, so please feel free to take advantage of that. The June minis of the month will go up for pre-order on Monday, June 1st at 9 a.m. I do not have them to show you. See, this is the problem with having been away when I was. It just came at a weird time. And I'm probably not going to get to record again prior to those going up. So please, again, be looking on the Fiber Nymph Dye Works page on Facebook. I will definitely post them to Instagram. I will definitely post them in the Minis of the Month thread in the Fiber Nymph Dye Works group on Ravelry, not so much the 90% knitting group since it's specifically yarn related. And it will obviously be pictures in preview mode once I have that ready to go in the shop. So you'll at least get to see them. But again, they will go, a limited number of them will go up for pre-order on Monday, June 1st at 9 a.m. And as always, they will ship by the end of the month. And the May ones are set to ship before the end of this month as planned, even though the pre-order went up a week late. All right, other than that, there will be kind of a small shop update this coming Wednesday. I don't usually do midweek updates, at least I haven't done one in a while, but because of the way other things are falling, I kind of needed to do it this Wednesday. So that's May 27th, and it's going to be an evening update. It'll be 7 p.m. Eastern. I haven't done an evening one in a while, so hopefully that'll help some of you out. The downside, again, because I was away, even though most of it is dyed, pretty much none of it is reskeined at this point, so I can't show it to you. But it's all colorways that you've seen before. And again, I will be putting things in preview mode as soon as I have them ready to go up. But I can tell you what they are going to be. First of all, there are going to be 7 color block sock sets. I haven't had those in the shop in a while. Those are definitely a limited item that I do occasionally. There will be 3 sock sets in the colors of happiness. There will be 2 in the abalone colorway, which was a new one that I introduced last update with the shawl yarn, the lace weight yarn gradients. And then the last 2 will be Bahamian sock sets, which is always a variation because Bahamian only has 5 colors and the sock sets have 7 colors. So it's kind of a variation on Bahamian. So that will be the 7 color block sock sets. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure it's all going to be self-striping yarn unless I have time to dye some of that new bamboo blend yarn. If I do, I might add some of that. But otherwise, here's what I definitely know will be up. I'm going to have TARDIS. There will be 2 skeins on Bounce and 2 skeins on Traveler, the sport weight. I did 2 skeins on Bounce of the Spring Skies colorway, which was the self-striping colorway from the May minis of the month. A second helping of pie, which was new last update, and you guys really, really liked. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed that. I'm going to have 4 more skeins of that up, 2 on Bounce and 2 on Traveler. Magic Carpet, which was also a new colorway last update that you guys really liked, and I'm so glad. I loved how that one turned out. I just adore that. I've got to knit something with that sometime soon. Anyway, there will be 4 more skeins of Magic Carpet, so that'll be 2 on Bounce and 2 on Bedazzled. And then I know I will have at least 2 sets of Nyan Cat on Bedazzled, which Bedazzled is what I've always done Nyan Cat on. One time I did it on Bounce for somebody who was on the waiting list because they requested not sparkly. So I did that, and it got me thinking, you know, there might be other people who would like Nyan Cat but don't necessarily want the sparkle. So if I have time, I'm going to do another 2 sets up on Bounce and put them in the shop. Hopefully I'll get that up this time. If not, it'll be for the next update. But you can be looking for that. So right now, that's all I know will definitely be in the shop. If I have a chance and can get more ready, I will. Basically, looking through my summer, my dye schedule is really, really full. I've got 3 big wholesale orders that I'll be working on through most of the summer. Yeah, basically through the beginning mid-August. So that's going to be going on in the background of everything else. So my plan is to do smaller but more frequent shop updates as I can get things dyed in the midst of doing all the wholesale stuff. Okay, so I think that'll probably work out a little bit better than trying to do big updates a couple times a month. So there might be like 3 updates a month. They just might be each smaller. That's my goal at this point. We'll see how that works out. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, the other thing is I've got all of these new colorway ideas. I mean, I can't tell you. I've got at least 2 more that I know I want to do. I have a mock-up done for one of them right now. It's going to be an 8-stripe colorway, and I can't wait to do it. The problem is with when I come out with these like big colorways, striping colorways, you guys usually love those, and then I feel bad if I can't get a lot of them in the shop in a short period of time. But they're really time consuming to do those big stripers. They take a long time to prep. They take a longer time to dye because of the way I have to configure them. And then they're a little bit more cumbersome to reskein. So I can't do as many as I'd like to, but I don't want to stop bringing out the new colorways because they make me happy. So anyway, that's it for the shop. Again, update will be Wednesday, May 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern. I hope you like what you find in there. But until tomorrow at midnight, you will be able to get the 10% discount off of anything that's currently in stock in the shop. So check that out. And that's with the code 90KABC. Alrighty, that's it. I hope you have a good rest of your weekend. If you are in the U.S. and you're celebrating Memorial Day this weekend or tomorrow, have fun, be safe, and I will talk to you guys next time. Thanks. Bye.